All right, let me share my screen briefly. And again, this is my first time having to run the class entirely through Collaborate. So if I'm trying to show you something and you guys don't see it, somebody speak up, unmute your mic and say something. But right now, you guys should see the homepage of Blackboard. Is that correct? Somebody verbally say that to me. I'm going to guess yes. Can somebody verbally respond back?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So the syllabus is very long. I know that. And some students might think it's way, way, way too long. But the deal is with the syllabus, every single detail that you could possibly ask, I'm hoping is in there. So, half of it is just rubrics or how I grade each of the assignments. And the grade is completely objective, so you'll be able to know and count where the points come from. This is the homepage of Blackboard. The first thing you'll see is an alert that says check your triton.edu email address daily. I do not think I sent out an email since we met on Tuesday, but I typically do send a couple a week. Next, you're going to see the ESHA track, ESHA. I will use that and go over it in a couple of weeks. That is the program we're going to use for our diet analysis. This is the welcome section of it. It's a quick summary of the syllabus. Important due dates. And then I'm going to go down to how you're graded. So every week you're going to get a learning module. And this week we have the intro learning module. Each one of these learning modules is listed at the end of your syllabus in terms of what week we will be covering that particular learning module. So this week is the intro. Next week is the learning module on carbohydrates. Okay, so each learning module will have a discussion and quiz. Each one of those two items is 25% of your final grade. So the discussion's 25%, quiz is 25%, okay? The quizzes you get to take twice, the higher score counts. They're approximately 10 multiple choice questions each. There are a couple that will be more than that though, just realize that. Okay, so that's the discussions and quizzes. The discussions, the first few will be kind of factual and recall in terms of the nutrients, but it also will include examples of, foods that you eat in your daily life that might have those nutrients in them. So it will be some self-reflection. After that, it is going to be a lot of educated opinion type questions. Later in the semester, you have a flyer due. It's 10% of your final grade. The flyer's due on November 5th. And as I mentioned in the class Tuesday, you could pick any topic you want as long as it's related to nutrition. You could browse through your text for ideas. Maybe some of you have ideas already. I could start taking ideas next week. I just don't want duplicate topics, okay? So when you know your flyer, you can email that to me, or when I ask verbally, maybe in a week or two, then you will state that to me. One-page flyer, it could be a brochure or a pamphlet, any topic that you like. The largest portion of the grade, if you look at the rubrics in the syllabus, is on the content. But I do want you to add some images, and I do have examples of flyers. I showed a couple Tuesday. The examples of flyers are over here. You can see my little cursor. We'll move on to oral presentation of the flyer. So hopefully this will work. In December, you're going to talk for 5 minutes about your flyer. We'll have to work on that to make sure. What may happen is I may just upload it so that it's on the screen and then you guys could talk. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. Typically in a classroom, I'd put it on the whiteboard and then you would talk either from your seat or up front and describe your topic in detail. And then we have our diet analysis, 10% of the final grade. So let me summarize this really quickly for the diet analysis. We're going to use this program up here called ESHA. You're going to put all the foods you eat in the program for 5 days. Can you see the software program opened on your screen? Somebody verbally say something.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You can start playing with this, you know, right away. When you open it, you create your profile, enter all the foods you eat, at minimum of 5 days, enter your activities for those 5 days. You go to the reports. There's a lot of reports. Every report that they have in here is included in something called the combo report. So instead of clicking on each individual one, what I'm going to advise you to do is read the combo report. As you're reading that combo report, you're going to fill out a template or a questionnaire, and that's what you're going to submit. The questionnaire or template, I call it, is listed here. It's 10 questions, and it's also listed in the syllabus, okay? So that's the diet analysis. It's basically, I'll be grading you on the answers to those 10 questions. And then final exam, 20%. The final exam will be online. The final exam is due December 15th. The diet analysis is the first thing coming up. That's October 15th. The final exam is going to be 60 multiple choice questions and a few short essays. So that's what you need to do to earn your grade. Those are how the points are divvied up. Now it's not, and I made this note down here, it is not total points earned divided by total points possible, because all these points are way different. So you can see how I grade down here. It's earned discussion points divided by possible discussion points, and then I add those items up, okay, in case you see that. All right. Any questions on how you'll be graded?
No.
All right. Just wait another minute. I'm going to update the homepage like every Saturday with the assignments that we're going to do. Week 1, we are in Introduction Learning module. There is a practice quiz and an intro discussion. So I usually start the week on a Saturday morning with the learning module, and then it ends Friday at 11:59 p.m. So tomorrow at 11:59 p.m., you will have your practice quiz and your intro discussion due. As I mentioned to some of you, the practice quiz is basically on the syllabus. Okay, so you read the syllabus, answer a few questions based off of that. The intro discussion, you introduce yourself to the class. Feel free to comment to each other in the discussion room. It really it enhances communication and learning. Okay, and then next week we'll be doing carbs. Okay, any other questions for me? Do you have anything based on the homepage? I go over the syllabus unless you guys have questions. I do think. Go ahead. Say it again. I do think you should get the textbook, and you could get a used version. It could be either the 4th or the 5th edition, whatever is more affordable. I will be working out of the 5th, and the syllabus dates will be based on the 5th edition. The chapters, I believe, are very similar. If you have a copy of the 4th and are getting a little confused in terms of what chapter we're on, let me know. But right now we're on chapter 1, and that chapter is the same in the 4th and the 5th edition, chapter 1. Okay? No questions?
No.
Thank you. I'm going to try to do something here. Oops. Tell me, I need somebody to verbally tell me this again. Tell me what you see on your screen. Right now you should see me, but give me about 1 minute. I'm going to try to share an image. Oh, okay. I see what I'm doing here. Do you see an image on your screen now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. This is my trial and error. So you should see this in the learning module. All those links in the learning module, I typically use most, if not all of those links that are in the learning module in the class when I'm lecturing. In each learning module, the most important thing for you guys to read are the instructor PowerPoint and the instructor notes. I will remind you that the instructor presentation is the PowerPoint with my voice. So you don't have to look at both the PowerPoint and the presentation. They're the exact same thing. It's just the presentation has my voice, the PowerPoint does not. I will be showing you guys the PowerPoints in class and the notes as well. So just remember, those are the most important things, that the quiz questions and the final and just in general, what are the most important things we should know in terms of nutrition. Then there's a bunch of links. It'll be videos, maybe web links, images. Here's one image that I have in the intro learning module. And I wanted you guys to take a quick poll. And these polls are anonymous. So you could click yes or no. Do you see the poll at the kind of middle bottom of your screen? All right. It says, do you eat mostly from the best list? And the best list has dark green leafy vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, which is broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, berries, beans, mushrooms, onions, seeds, nuts, tomatoes, pomegranate. Okay, so that's about half and half. That's about half and half. We have 18 people answered. There's 21 students. So I know that one or two of you came in late. Make sure whoever showed up late after I did attendance, you tell me later, just quick reminder that I could mark you down for attendance. That's not as bad as I thought. You know, it's about half of us. And I'm going to remind you guys, I'm going to end the poll now, but I'm going to remind you guys, we do not have to be perfect. Do not strive or think you only have to eat the foods that would be considered on that left side. If you, and maybe somebody could verbally tell me, do you really like one of the foods on the right side that says the worst? Does anybody like anything on that side? And verbally tell me what that might be.
I like all of it.
All of it.
Yeah,
Thank
all
you.
of the above.
All of it.
Same.
Except soda.
Mostly ice
Except
cream.
Besides soda, maybe, but like even then, I still drink that. So
Yeah, yeah. Now, you know, what we choose to eat is influenced by a lot of things, what we choose to eat. So we're faced with, you know, an idea or a thought every day that we're hungry, okay? And that's our brain telling us we need energy. And then we have the choice. What, from this entire document here, best and worst, which thing would you choose, right? And the decision that you're going to make is based on a lot of things. Can any or multiple people in the class tell me what are some of the factors that influence the decision of what you're going to choose to eat? And verbally tell me, guys.
Mainly about how much it costs.
Definitely. So the cost factor, for sure.
Food availability.
Yeah.
Okay, and I heard environment we live in, which is very true. Where can we get the foods from? Are there stores around us? Are there restaurants around us? Are there not stores around us? It could be farmer's market, right? Raise your hand if you've been to a farmer's market. You can see the hands will be raised when I go on my attendance list. But have you, any of you been to farmer's market this summer? Okay. So it's about 6, 7 of you. Oh, it's going down. Some towns don't have farmers markets, so that might not be an option in your environment where you're living. Two people kind of spoke at the same time. You guys could lower your hand. After I commented on environment, who else had a thought that I'd like to acknowledge? What was that?
Oh, I was just gonna
Go
say,
ahead.
like, environment, like, just say, like, if you have people around you who are not eating from the best and are always eating from the worst, that's the influence, you know what I'm saying? Even though maybe you might have those resources, let's say, but you have those people who only and who only eat from a certain category, maybe your parents, your family. I think that,
Definitely.
yeah, big role. And there might be like a local grocery store where you can get these best. But yeah, so that's what I was gonna say.
Thank you. And that's very true. So the people around us, maybe you're not the person who goes shopping, so you don't have control over what is bought. And that's definitely true for younger children, but maybe even for us adults too. I know I'll pick on my husband quite a bit this semester, but he doesn't go to a grocery store. I do. So he's going to eat what's in the house. And same thing for my kids, right? My kids really don't have the choice because they're young. They don't have money. So they're going to have to just eat what's in the house. Those of us a little bit older too, it's the friends you hang out with, right? How many of you, raise your hand again, how many of you have friends that eat really, really healthy? And when you're with them, you typically eat healthy too. And that could be friends or family, guys. Few of you. Lower your hands. How many of you might, with your friends and family, when you're going out to eat, end up getting something on the right side of the list? I hate to even label things best and worst. I'm going to even raise my hand, I think, right? Can I raise my hand? I did. And that might be social too, right? When we ask our friends, what do you want to do? And maybe the answer might be, well, let's go out to eat. And then you end up at a place that's more, convenient for you, or maybe local. You don't have to travel far. But what the whole summary of this is, it is okay to have something on the right-hand side of the screen. It's okay. What I'm going to advocate is that in order to stay healthy, physically, mentally, socially, emotionally, in order to stay healthy, really, we're going to try to choose most of our foods that are healthy foods. And most nutritionists will tell you, as I will, if 80% of your food is from that healthy side, you are doing great. All right. So don't give yourself stress if you're going to eat ice cream. Don't give yourself stress if you decide to go out to eat and have what's someone's favorite restaurant? Say it verbally. That might not have the healthiest thing in the world.
Popeyes.
Cheesecake.
Popeyes.
Wingstop.
Cheesecake, Popeyes. What else?
Philly's
Chipotle,
best.
Popeyes.
Okay. So don't be stressed and don't be guilty. And you wouldn't believe me if I told you you can never eat that, right? Or you wouldn't like me, that's for sure. We have to be realistic, right? But what I advocate for people is not to choose every single food every single day that might negatively impact our health. So we have to be aware of what those foods are that when we eat them will make us healthy, and when we eat them might contribute a bit to negative health outcomes, okay? But don't stress yourself with trying to be perfect. And I hope that concept gives you a little bit of ease in terms of the way that I'm going to teach, and just gives yourself a little break from trying to, don't be too hard on yourself when it comes to food choices. What I can say is, when I try to help individuals, that a lot of it is family members that are trying to make some healthy lifestyle choices, I try to focus on the positive. I'm never going to talk to people and say, you should not eat that, or stay away from that. That food is negative. I really don't focus my education in that manner. What I say is, what are some healthy foods that you love to eat? And eat as much of them as you possibly can. And those are the things that are going to actually add to your health. Who can honestly verbally tell me that they love one of the foods that's either on the best list or something that might not be on that list, but you still love and you deem that is healthy for you? Give me some ideas.
Berries.
Okay.
Leafy greens.
Kiana? I'm sorry, say it again. Laura,
I like
can you?
greens.
Leafy greens.
Like a salad. Yeah, in a salad, you gotta make it like a good dressing. Then I could eat it. Yeah.
I
What
like
is it?
mushrooms a lot.
I'm going to call your guy's name because sometimes it's hard to for the class to hear who's saying what. So let's do Kiana. Did you want to say a healthy food that you liked?
I love really all fruits, and my favorite fruit is actually pomegranates.
Okay, great. I love pomegranates too. In fact, in the winter, I will like try to save those little seeds that they have and put it in the freezer. And I love to make smoothies out of it. And that's, if you haven't tried a pomegranate, try it this winter. They're usually in season more in winter, although I did see one in the store this week. Okay. Laura, do you have a favorite food or did you go yet? That's healthy.
I said leafy greens and also the cruciferous vegetables.
So which one out of the cruciferous you like?
I like broccoli a lot and Brussels sprouts.
Nice, nice. I really have been enjoying cabbage a lot lately. I make a lot of stir fry with cabbage. I've made soup with it. You can do the coleslaw. These foods, these cruciferous foods, really help prevent cancer. You're going to learn a lot about the benefits of foods in this class, but what I can say is if I was to say a couple of foods that really, if you were to eat every day, prevent cancer, it would be the cruciferous and then the berries. Who said berries? Lots of you like the berries, huh? Okay. Keep your hand up if you still need to tell me your favorite best food or your favorite healthy food. David?
I was gonna say water, like a glass of
Okay.
water. It's probably the best thing to have.
Very good. And I remember hearing one time a little rumor, and I don't know if this is true or not, but they said a lot of times if you think you're hungry, if you drink a cup of water, that it's really you are more thirsty than hungry. Amelia.
Yeah, I like broccoli for sure and lettuce and spinach.
Very nice. And I hope I'm pronouncing it. Is it Mata?
Yeah, that's how you say it. It's not on this list, but I'm big on avocados. I love avocados.
Very good. And that could definitely be on this list as well. Okay. Anyone else? Raise your hand if you want to comment. Or what we're going to do, I'm going to start a little bit of review. Okay, I see one more hand up. Elazar, am I pronouncing it right?
Eleazar, yeah. I was
Say it
just
one
gonna
more time.
say Eleazar.
Eleazar, okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, like dark greens, but in like a salad. You know, like I gotta have it like in a nice salad, or else I can't really eat.
Okay, okay. That gave me another idea, guys. If you're interested in eating salads, don't think they only have to be green leafy vegetables or even just veggies. But I've been looking up recipes over the last year or two, which I make the salads with fruit in them, with quinoa in them, nuts and seeds in them. So you can add a lot of different things, mix it all together, whatever you might like to eat or you want to try something new. I've done a lot of sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds in the salads. I do like to do the quinoa. Anybody raise your hand if you've ever had quinoa? It's a whole grain. Yeah. A little bit more expensive type of whole grain. There's lots of different kinds. There's wheat, oats, rye, barley, and this one's called quinoa. But yeah, you can mix your salads up. I like to put mango in them or berries, whatever you have. Make it a little bit more interesting, right? All right, I am going to, now we're going to talk a little bit about chapter 1. And this is the first time I'm sharing a PowerPoint on Collaborate. So let's hope that it works right. What do you see on your screen right now?
The
Nutrition one,
PowerPoint.
the PowerPoint, yeah.
PowerPoint.
Okay, Yeah, okay. So maybe you've gotten a chance to read chapter 1. If not, just skim through it tonight. You don't have to memorize anything from chapter 1, really. My classes, a lot of what happens, guys, is that, there'll be some things I want you to memorize and study. A lot of it is if you're showing up in the class and paying attention, you're going to absorb the information automatically because we do review a lot of things each week. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is what is the science of nutrition? And this little image does come from your textbook. I put it in there today. It's on page 6 of your textbook. But let's talk a little bit about it. So if we said the word food, that would mean the plants and animals we eat. If we said the word nutrition, basically it's the study of the science of food, okay? And how that helps our body in terms of health and wellness, right? I'm not going to read word for word off the PowerPoints, but when the foods we eat, again, they could, positively or negatively impact our health. There are a few that might not make too big of a difference, but we need to learn as we move through the class which one of those, and by common sense, you may already know this, benefit our body. And those are the ones we want to strive for and eat a lot of every single day, like the berries and the cruciferous vegetables, the avocados, things like that. So this little image tells us that the food we eat will support our activities that we do every single day. Clearly, it gives us energy if we want to exercise or we have to do our chores or even our brain, we have to think. The food we eat enhances our mental performance and keeps our brains healthy. The food we eat will maintain our immune system. So yes, it is true. It does fight off diseases. There are nutrients and phytochemicals in the foods that we eat that will boost our immune system to prevent acute disease and chronic disease. And the reason I'm slowing down is I want to make sure you understand that. We've had this horrible virus attack our society. And if we want to strengthen our immune system to try to beat that off, or God forbid you got that, there's phytochemicals and nutrients in the healthy foods that will help our immune system do that. In the same sense, there's a lot of these chemicals that will help us prevent chronic diseases like cancer and diabetes and heart disease. So I know someone had their hand up, and great. That is the way I would like you to interrupt me to ask a question. I want you guys to ask questions. Eleazar?
Yeah, sorry. So I was reading about this, right? Because I guess I assume everybody is, right? Because like, oh, COVID, immune system, and when I was reading it about it, it said that like we can't influence our immune system directly, but we can influence the function of our body as a whole, since our immune system is only one system of the body. Because like you if you want to influence like one system, you have to influence the whole entire but you know what I'm trying to say? Like you have to influence like the
Right.
whole entire like body, because the body is all one, because there's different systems, and like if you can just influence like the whole entire body, then you can just increase the system of one like the immune system. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but basically
No,
like
you do.
what I'm trying to say is like in order to like increase the immune system, right, we have to increase the function of the entire body as well, right? Not just like the
Definitely.
immune system.
No, you are correct. The body does work as a whole, and our foods will work as a whole. The science of nutrition has gotten away with only singling out like one nutrient and saying this is what we need to eat healthy. When we eat a whole food, and I'm sitting in front of tomatoes, so I'm going to say this, when I eat a whole food like a tomato, all the nutrients in that will impact my whole body in a positive manner, right? So if you're influencing your immune system in a positive manner, you're also influencing your kidney and liver and brain and all the organs of your system in a positive manner. And yes, Eleazar is right. When we influence our body to grow and function and repair in a positive manner, then the whole thing is basically going to fight off those diseases. So very good point. So we want to that's one thing that a lot of people question is, should I eat the whole food or can I take a supplement in a pill? And I would say, as most nutritionists, the whole foods are better. The nutrients that come along with them, the nutrients that come along with the whole foods are absorbed better and often come with partners that together they work better than one by itself. The other issue with supplements is that we really don't know if what we're buying is what we're getting. And I hate to even say that, but the FDA does not review and scrutinize supplements. So we're taking the company's word for it that if you bought vitamin D or magnesium, that's actually what you're getting. And I know Patty now has a comment.
Yes. Do you feel like vitamins actually work, or do you feel like they're more of like a marketing like tactic thing?
I would say both, right?
Yes.
What they say with supplements is something to the effect that the U.S. spends about $80 billion a year on supplements. Now, if you ask me if that was needed, I would say if you ate healthy, right, 80% of the food you eat is healthy from that healthy side, the healthy list, you probably don't need them. But if we're not eating 80% or more of our foods healthy, then we probably do want a supplement. And some people, including myself, will say, you know what? I'm going to eat healthy, but just in case I miss something, I'm going to take a multivitamin mineral pill a day. And that's for, remember what I told you Tuesday, an apparently healthy adult. So this whole first couple of months is just about an apparently healthy adult. So what I would say is individual without disease, not pregnant, no illnesses around. A lot of you could choose to take a multivitamin just as your like backup insurance. Did I miss any of my B vitamins or C today or something like that? But when we go into special populations, during pregnancy, yes, they should take a prenatal. If you have a particular illness, like I suffer from migraines, my doctor said, let's give you a little bit more magnesium, see if that helps. So if you have a problem, maybe your doctor or nutritionist would say to you, take a little bit extra of this, and that's for a special pop. So they're not a bad idea, these supplements, if you know the purpose of you taking it. I actually had a student once did not eat healthy whatsoever and thought they were going to stay healthy just by eating, supplemental vitamin pills. And I don't think that that's going to work. I really don't. Okay. If you've got a question, again, raise your hand. And then the last thing on this little image provides the opportunities for social interaction through cooking and eating experiences. And that is the fourth item they have in this little image. And I think that probably we don't reflect on that social idea of eating very often, but we do it every day. There are benefits, and in one of the learning modules, I have a link. I think it's the learning module about nutrition across the lifespan. There's a lot of mental, physical, emotional, academic, and health benefits if we eat meals with someone that we are family members with, someone we love, our best friend. So eating together is a very important ritual that's been historically throughout the world. And that's why a lot of nutritionists, including myself, will try to tell individuals, in order to gain some improved health, try to eat at least one meal a day, with whatever you consider family and friends. Eating in isolation, there could be some problems, or eating in front of TV alone, eating in front of video games alone. I mean, once in a while we might do that, but try, if you're living with an individual, try to eat one meal per day with that person, or maybe with your friend if you're living alone. And you could read that link ahead of time or wait till we get to it. Okay, I want to move on so we get to everything here. Here's energy and nutrients. So energy is the capacity to do work. And we get this energy from nutrients that we eat. There's 6 total types of nutrients, but only 3 of them give us energy. The 3 nutrients that give us energy are carbs, protein, and fat. And you can see on this slide, we measure energy with a word called calorie. That's our measure of energy in food. So carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram. If I was to weigh out carbs and the scale told me it was 10 grams of a carbohydrate, well, I would know that that's 40 calories. And on this little image here, it has the 60 here. So, you know, if I had however many grams of carbs times 4, that it would equate to 60. That's how they count the calories on a nutrition label, is they actually measure it out and then multiply by how many calories per gram. Protein and carbs are the same. They both have 4. Fat has 9 calories per gram. So it is a little bit more than double. And I think that's why sometimes fat gets a bad rap. But fat is great. There's healthy fat, and then there's not so healthy fat. In fact, most of the nutrients, it's kind of like that. There's really, really great carbohydrates, really, really great proteins, really, really great fats. And then there's some not so healthy options. And what we want to identify in class are which ones are the healthy ones, right? And there are healthy fats. And we want to eat those because it will help our brain and our heart to function and stay, you know, healthy. All right, I'm going to call on Patty first. Go ahead.
Yes, so I have one question. Okay, I know like in almond butter and real almond butter, like polyunsaturated fats and like monounsaturated fats are like definitely like the better kind of fats. And like I feel like a lot of the times, organic or non-organic, natural or non-natural, a lot of times I will come across like almond butters and I will like stutter upon buying them because I will feel like they are fake just because they don't include those 2 fats in their nutrition list. Would I be wrong, or like am I just like freaking out, or?
Well, you got to try to, like all of us, including myself, we've got to try to trust that the individual who is producing the food is telling us the truth on the label. The front of packages can mislead us, and that's why we kind of want to flip it around and read the nutrition label, which are these numbers like you see on this slide, but also the ingredient list, because that by law has to be the truth. The front labels, believe it or not, these corporations and companies could try to mislead us. So what you want to do, I'll give you an example. I've bought an almond butter, and what I want to read in my ingredients are almonds and maybe perhaps something like a salt to kind of preserve that. And that would be the healthy option, and that would be the product that would have your mono and polyunsaturated fats in it because they're in the almonds. Some companies may put almonds, but then mix it with like palm oil and sugar and salt. So now when you're reading the food label, the ingredient list, you see that there's added stuff to that. It's not just almonds anymore. And that may be why you're seeing more saturated fat and added sugars rather than just the healthy fats. So, you know, companies will do that. They do it a lot with peanut butter too, guys. When you're buying a peanut butter, try to look at the ingredient list. We're going to want to pick the ones that are peanuts, maybe a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt. But there will be companies that put like the first 2 ingredients are sugar and saturated fat, and then finally peanuts. So now you're getting a lot of the, you know, not so healthy nutrients and only a tiny bit of those healthy ones. So I hope that answered your question, Patty.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, Eleazar, did you have a question?
Yes, I was just gonna say like kind of just like a comment, like because I worked at Export for a little bit, and like I've been like in the gyms and stuff like that, and like when you see like when they write you a program, right, or like you go on anything, you can go on MyFitnessPal, anything, they always have like the carbs and the proteins up there, and then they have the fat lower, you know, and I think maybe they should maybe like change that a little bit, just like you said, because I know fat is higher in calories, but like you said, there's a lot of good nutrients that come from that fat, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of good like, and it's just like crazy. And I even know a guy, right? So what he was doing is he was like keeping that, right? And he wasn't getting that much fat in him, you know. And he actually ended up getting sick, you know what I'm saying? Because we need fat, you know. So it's just, I don't know. I think it's maybe you can look good physically good if you do that, but at the same time, like, how is your body going to function, you know? So I think maybe it should change. I don't know.
That's definitely true. Just because your weight does not is not the sole indicator of health. We'll put it that way, right? There are people of normal weight that may have illnesses, but you're right. I mean, what ends up happening is there's so many messages in our society about food and nutrition. And sometimes people like to bully a particular food or not. And they say, eggs are horrible. Don't eat eggs. Or fat is horrible. If you eat fat, you're going to get fat. And we might get confused. And some of these might just be myths, right? But healthy fat is essential for us to stay healthy. It actually makes up our brain tissue. And individuals who do not have enough healthy fat in their diet actually have more memory loss, which could come in the form of that dementia and even Alzheimer's disease. So we know that lack of healthy fat causes both of those items. It also contributes to some type of mental illnesses like depression, especially the kind of depression that occurs after pregnancy. They call it postpartum depression. Sometimes that baby is going to steal all the healthy fat from the mom. Postpartum depression also occurs because of a change in hormones as well. But they have done scientific studies that showed mothers with more healthy fat have less incidence of postpartum, even if we controlled the hormone levels. And the other thing with that healthy fat is your heart, right? So we'll learn about more and more about fat and protein and carbs as we move through. But all of them are important. Remember, all the nutrients are important. We want to eat every one of them in moderation every day. So I have the 6 nutrients for you here. The first 3 are the energy providing nutrients: carbs, protein, and fat. And then the last 3 nutrients, they do not have calories, so they do not provide energy. I like to think of these 3 as our helpers, our essential helpers: vitamins, mineral, and water. You have to have them to stay healthy. If you have time later this afternoon or tomorrow, chapter 5 of your textbook, they tell a little story about, I think it's pronounced pellagra. Anyway, it's a disease that these people were coming down with in 1914, something to that effect. And they figured out they were lacking a particular nutrient. And when these people got that nutrient, they weren't getting sick. You can go back historically in nutrition and read stories like that all over. One of them that I remember, I don't know if it's in your book or not, but there was a disease called scurvy. And all these explorers that were going around the ocean were coming down with scurvy, and half of them were dying. But the explorers that were stopping in the Bahama Islands, they didn't have any scurvy. So what do you think was in the Bahama Islands that they were eating that prevented them from getting that disease? What do you guys guess?
Fish.
What's in the Bahamas? Patty?
Fish.
Good choice, but that wasn't it, actually. Laura?
Tropical fruits.
Yes, that's the answer. It is lots of vitamin C in the tropical fruits. They were loading up on limes and lemons and oranges and all kinds of things like that, and they never got scurvy. So, I mean, that's how sometimes historically we found some of these nutrients. But, I love them. They're great, these nutrients. We're just going to identify what's in what. All right, I'm going to see if I can show you. It's not letting me this way. Oops. It's not letting me this way. Give me a second. I want to show you a quick video. What I think I'm going to have to do is share my screen, though. Give me 1 second. And then we'll come back to the collaborate in a moment. I want to show you a quick video. Do you see my screen now, guys?
Hi, I'm Ragnar.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
From BMW self-driving.
How to develop healthy eating habits. Good health is just a matter of taking a new approach to eating and making simple changes. You will need cooking facilities, a shopping list, healthy foods, breakfast, healthy snacks, and water. Optional. For books, and internet access. Step 1. Cook and prepare your own meals as often as you can. This will help you avoid eating processed and fast foods, which are higher in sodium and fat. Healthy, low-fat recipes and guidance are available at bookstores and on the internet. Step 2. Plan healthy meals and make a shopping list. Fill your cart with lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grain foods, and lean meats. Step 3. Read nutrition labels. Pay attention to saturated fat, sodium, and sugar. The higher the numbers, the unhealthier they are. Step 4. Eat breakfast every day. Breakfast helps to rev up your metabolism. Make it a habit to eat something within the first hour after you wake up. Step 5. Try to eat small meals every 3 to 4 hours. Aim for 3 small balanced meals and 2 snacks. Step 6. Drink plenty of water every day. Water hydrates the body and aids the digestive system, and it's calorie-free. Step 7. Feel the difference in your body. More energy and stamina, as well as sharper thinking as you feed your body healthy foods. Did you know a study found that more than 16% of U.S. children and teens are obese?
Okay, you back to my PowerPoint now, guys?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, so what impacts our food choices? And we talked about this briefly before we got into the PowerPoint. Why do we eat? Why do we choose the foods we eat? When do we eat? And what impacts the choice of our time? So we kind of covered this already. And I think just to summarize what you guys thought, it was the cost of the food, it was the people perhaps you're living with or hanging out with, the availability of the food or the environment you live in. Are there anything else that maybe influence the food you eat besides those items? What do you think? And what, okay, let me see. Joe Sean?
Yeah, I think what drives us for food is like even if you stop eating the food, like and you go start eating really healthy, you still crave for some of the things that were on the bad side of the list.
Yes, that is true. And fast food places know what you like to crave and they load that up in their foods. And, you know, it can be addicting. There are people who are addicted to like high salt foods, um, high sugar foods, foods that have a lot of influence on our taste buds, things like that. And the companies know that. The companies know how to get you to come back for their foods. And a lot of it is that fat, sugar, and salt. And we will crave that, you know. Patty, do you have your, oh, Starbucks grilled cheese. That's what you crave? Is that what you were thinking? Yeah. Actually, I know 2 people said this, but you know, one healthy type food that I really, really like is sushi, Japanese food. Like I can eat that every day. And culturally, I have no Japanese in my genetics whatsoever. But that's just something I love. So maybe we can find a healthy food that we crave too sometimes. You can't do raw fish. In fact, I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old. They had a half a day yesterday. And I picked them up for school and I said, well, what do you want for lunch? I'll run into the grocery store and get that. And they both asked for sushi. So I got one California roll, which for those who don't like raw, California roll is cooked. It's crab meat with some veggies. And then the other one wanted, I don't know, it was like a tuna roll or something like that. Okay, so, and then the times we eat, I'll just comment on this really quickly. Based off of that video you just saw, how often do they recommend that we eat food while we're awake during the day? Who remembers? You could type it out or raise your hand. Oh, okay, so Patty and Eleazar. Let's do Victoria. She hasn't commented yet today. Did you want to comment, Victoria, or are you lowering your hand actually? I
So
think she lowered it.
what I think is best to eat 5 times a day, and then just like do the timing on your own. Like breakfast, lunch, and then dinner, and then between them like snacks. That's the healthiest way.
Definitely. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a couple of snacks. And I also see that Patty was correct in saying every 3 to 4 hours. We don't want to go longer than that without any food. So the amount of, the timing of our meals is important. It'll keep our metabolism stable. We don't, and you're going to learn more about blood glucose next week, but we don't want our metabolism, our blood glucose levels spiking too high or going too low. We want it kind of even throughout the whole day. So a good idea might be, and it may be different per person, but like a general rule for the apparently healthy adult, 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, a couple of snacks, and those snacks should be like 200 calories, so nothing huge. But if we go really long periods of time without food, our metabolism could slow down. Now, the timing of our meals, and I'm going to answer this just for time's sake, the timing of our meals probably deals with your schedule more than anything else. When are you working? When are you going to school? When can you fit in your meals, right? Some of you may eat dinner late. Some of you may eat dinner early. I eat dinner whenever my husband gets home from work, so we could try to eat together. And so I can't say, well, don't eat after 7 o'clock, right? Or don't eat after 8 o'clock, because you guys might be going to bed at 2 a.m., right? I'm going to bed at 9. So for me, I probably don't want to eat after 8 o'clock. But for some of you that might work different shifts, or you're going to not be going to bed until like 1 o'clock in the morning, I mean, it's okay then to have something. So, you probably don't want to have a huge meal and go right to bed, as good as that may sound for your sleep. So don't worry as much in the time in terms of what it says on the clock, but rather what fits into your schedule. Okay, so I mentioned this Tuesday. I'll say it again. The foods that we eat really impact our body in 2 different ways. Health and wellness is the first, and then weight control is the second. And you can see this slide. The foods that we eat will help us prevent diseases, or unfortunately will contribute to diseases. And we know scientifically that food will impact the diseases I have listed on the left here. The different types of cardiovascular diseases, heart attacks, strokes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, cancer, diabetes, osteoporosis. There's a lot more that we could put there. And then I have the top leading causes of death in the US on the right-hand side. The upper portion of that image is 1900. So let's look at that for a moment. What were people dying of in 1900? Tuberculosis, pneumonia, diarrhea. What causes those 3 things?
Like viruses and stuff, right? Or lack of sanitation. Viruses or lack of sanitation.
Yeah, it would be pathogens. So they, in 1900s, they don't have the longevity we had. Like our longevity right now, I'm estimating is the mid 70s. Most of us should live to our mid 70s. So in the 1900s, it wasn't that high because of pathogens. Okay. Actually, in the 1900s, they did not have a chronic health disease crisis like we have now. They had an acute pathogen crisis. So our medical society has come up with treatments for those acute pathogens. So if we scroll down to the lower portion of that image and we look at 1997, it's very similar to what it is now. I could actually say this is 2020. There might have been a flip-flop here and there of disease. But the primary cause of death in our country today is still heart disease. And this image is showing about 1/3 of individuals in the US will die from a heart disease like stroke, heart attack, peripheral artery disease, things like that, aneurysms. The second leading cause of death is cancer. So combined, cancer and heart disease account for more than half of the deaths. And we know that nutrition plays a role in some of these cases, all right? Genetics is a huge role. And I'm going to say that over and over again. Don't think that I'm naive enough to say if I eat healthy, I'm never going to die. or if I eat healthy, I'm never going to get cancer, because that still could happen. That could happen from pollution, from genetics, from problems, right? But nutrition definitely does play a role and contributes to many cases of heart disease and cancer and stroke and things like that. When we get to the diabetes lesson, I definitely want to show you a video that I have. It talks about how there was actually no diabetes whatsoever in our country when it was inhabited by the Native Americans. And if we fast forward to about 1940, that's when the cases of diabetes really became prevalent. It wasn't that long ago, if you think about it. 1940, it was within the last 100 years. And now it's just an epidemic. Diabetes is an epidemic, and it may, in fact, I believe it's higher than what's shown on the slide right now, but it may, in fact, come close to heart disease and cancer in the near future. And real quickly, when we talk about health and wellness, it's not just physical illnesses too. It's those mental illnesses. It's just overall, how do you feel today? And I want to give you guys a preview. If you eat healthy foods a couple days in a row, you may be feeling great, full of energy today. You eat crappy food a couple days in a row, you probably feel really fatigued and lack of energy and crappy on the next day. It's amazing how quickly this will happen. I know that sometimes I'll fall, victim to saying, "Oh, I'm going to go out to eat, and we're going to have hot wings, or we're going to have a big greasy burger," and the next day I feel like I have a food hangover. I'm tired. I'm sluggish. But you could do that little experiment and see. I'm not saying purposely eat unhealthy or purposely, do something you wouldn't normally do, but just the overall fatigue. Sometimes if we have a lunch that is a lot of processed carbs and heavy in fat, you might feel like falling asleep at 2, 3 in the afternoon. But if we have those healthier foods, usually that doesn't happen, depending your sleep habits too. And then we have weight control. I do have a couple videos I want to show you about that. That little video talked about 16% of kids being obese. What percentage do you guys think it's adults? What percentage of adults do you think are strictly obese? You could type in the answer or raise your hand.
20%.
A little bit higher than 20. Well, I'm just talking, I know Vanessa and Laura wrote something. I'm just talking obesity. If we combined overweight and obese, it would definitely be about 75%. If we just talk obesity, it is about 30%. Christopher has that. So 30% of adults in our country are clinically obese. If we combine overweight and obese, it goes up to like 75%. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, I'm going to show you a quick video here. Quick video. Let me see where I'm at. I'm going to have to share screen real quick. And this is going to show you the changes in obesity across the years. I'll pause that so you can read it. So we get the data a little bit late. That's why it doesn't show up to 2020. It takes a while for that data to filter through, but it's going up. There hasn't been a year since whenever this started, 1980s, that the obesity rate has gone down. It continues to go up every year. It's pretty scary. When we talk about obesity, what problems might occur for an individual who has obesity? What do you guys think? What might be problems? Why don't you type in the chat room? What are some problems that may occur for an individual who is obese? You type in the chat room and I'll kind of mention those. So we've got heart disease, diabetes, correct. Yeah, somebody wrote death with COVID. We know that the news media has told us individuals who are obese have a higher risk of death from COVID. Mental illnesses, definitely. Half of the individuals morbidly obese, which would be, I think they're considering morbidly obese, like 40% or more body fat, have depression. Half. We don't know which comes first. They're correlative factors. Mobility issues, high blood pressure, joint and bone issues, respiratory issues, lots and lots of problems. If we think of it as a societal problem, how can obesity impact our society in a negative way? What do you guys think? Could you type it in the chat room so we can get more comments on that? Yes, hospitals are packed. Not enough care, and impact on the economy. It costs a lot. Sometimes I forget certain things, but you guys can look this up. The cost of obesity is outrageous. The health care, whether it be Medicare, Medicaid, even companies that are paying private insurance, the cost of having to pay for diseases that are contributed to by obesity or poor nutrition is just amazing. I know that in a couple of PowerPoints, I'll show you more details about that. So the cost is huge. I mean, it could essentially, if we don't get a hold of this, cause financial crisis as we move through to 2020, it says 2030. One thing that I was shocked, and I learned maybe about 10 years ago, is they were having trouble staffing the armed forces because you have to pass the fitness tests to get in, and what is that, boot camp kind of things? There wasn't a lot of people that were passing them. I mean, clearly the younger rather than the older, but the pool of applicants can diminish where we wouldn't even have that. And I was just shocked at something like that. So could be lots of problems. And I actually have another video here. We're not going to have time to show it because it's 7 minutes long. But if you want to click on this video down here, it's going to talk about the problems that society has due to obesity. It's about 7 minutes. It is in the learning module as well. So what 3 things do we need to do consistently to get to a normal body weight? Eat healthy, which you're going to learn in this class. Cardiovascular exercise, about 30 minutes a day. And then resistance training or lifting weights 2 or more times per week for every major muscle group of your body, clearly with 1 day off in between. So what I'm saying is we have to strength train, say our upper body, our arms, our back, shoulders, things like that, at least twice a week, and then days off in between. We have to strength train every major muscle group in our body, like 1 to 2 times per week to maintain that. Now that really will boost our metabolism. The cardiovascular exercise is just going to burn those calories. If we did these 3 things consistently, we would get to a normal body composition. The problem is if we reflect on ourselves, our family, our friends, are we doing all 3? or are we doing 2 of them? Are we doing none of them? Are we sometimes doing all 3, but then sometimes not doing all 3? What you guys will learn in this class, which the diet analysis will help you, is we're going to be like detectives. And when we talk about eating healthy, we're going to look at all the nutrients we're getting from our diet in those 5 days or more. And we're going to say, can we make some adjustments in a nutrient that would help us get to better eating habits, healthier eating habits? So it's kind of like being a detective. You may think, oh yeah, I eat healthy, but then we look at the reports from that diet analysis and it shows, well, I'm a little bit too high in sodium, I'm a little bit too low in fiber, I'm a little bit too low in water. Make a couple adjustments, and then we're doing a lot better. What do you guys do for your cardio? Type it in the chat room. 30 or more minutes per day. What do you guys do for cardiovascular exercise? I like those 2 answers right away. Dancing and sports, jump rope, running, sprinting, core, wrestling, walking. Oh, great ideas. All of those are great. Boxing, doing stairs. You know what I like about these? They're all different. So you get to pick your own cardio, whatever you like, and that's going to count. I always tell people cardio, you want to be talking. You want it to be challenging to talk while you're doing it, but you still could do it. That's really a good indicator. It's called the rate of perceived exertion. You want to be able to talk, but it has to be like challenging enough that it's, that you're breathing heavy. So I like walking the dog, swimming, racing with your friends, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Olivia, any little thing counts. I park the farthest place away from where I'm going and then walk through that parking lot, Jot down this little quick tip that's going to help your family prevent chronic illness. I tell this to a lot of people. Walk for 5 minutes after every meal. And I say 5, it doesn't sound like a lot because a lot of people be like, all right, I'm just going around the block one time. And then you're like, well, that was it? I think I could do another one. And you maybe end up being a little bit more than 5. But if we could use up those calories instead of storing them after our meals, it could make a huge, huge difference. So take a brief walk, nothing extravagant, right after each meal would be great. And then we have resistance training. What do you guys do for that? You guys lifting weights? Lifting heavy weights, bands, sandbags. Maybe people use their own body weight, lifting your dog. Maybe you use your own body weight for resistance too in your house nowadays. I know through COVID, a lot of people were working out at home. All right, so those are the 3 things. Eat healthy, do cardio, do resistance training. I wanted to get your ideas. We have about 3 minutes now, 3 minutes left. What do you guys think is causing individuals to be overweight or obese in our society? Fast food is one of them. We're going to actually do an entire lesson on fast food. Healthy food is more expensive, food additives, mental health issues, influences from your family. Technology is great. When I started my teaching online, I think I gained a little bit of weight because I got to sit here in front of the computer. Processed food, slowing metabolism, lack of knowledge, food droughts. I would add into that one, Olivia, food deserts even. Sugar, convenience, unhealthy food is cheaper. Unhealthy food is definitely being promoted. Oh, it says food deserts. That's what I thought of. Yeah, food deserts. They don't have time to cook, or Laura, they don't know how to cook even. There are people that don't know how. But I think the whole point of you saying time to cook is important too. Historically in our society, there used to be like one adult at home during the day. And their job, somebody's got their microphone on, if you guys can mute that. Their job actually was to cook for the family. And we don't have that in a lot of households. Maybe there's only one adult living in the household. Maybe the adults that live in the household all work. And so we economically are faced with the fact that we may not have time to cook our own food. So we have to kind of think of habits or skills or ideas that could help us. Because if you recall in that one video, it said, if all else fails, try to make your food at home. It's so much more healthier than eating out. But as you can see, there is a ton of causes of obesity. And I don't want to rush through this. I think when we come back on Tuesday, we can review the causes of obesity. And then we're going to move on to carbohydrates on Tuesday. One thing that I think contributes, with my educated opinion, to obesity in our society is processed carbohydrates. Whole food carbohydrates are great, and those would be whole grains, vegetables, and fruits. But when we start eating processed carbs, which predominantly is white flour and sugar, we get ourselves in trouble, or things made from that white sugar and flour. Processed carbs are contributing to obesity, as well as the lack of movement, because we have a lot of technology around us. All right, I think you guys did great. This last slide talks about trustworthy sources of nutrition, and I will review this again next week. But who do you believe, right? Where can we go for good information about foods and nutrition? And then one of my favorite quotes that was like hundreds of years ago is still relevant today. I'm going to leave you guys with this. It says, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. And what I'll do is I could stick around for about 5 or 10 more minutes or longer if need be. You guys, if I already got you on attendance, you could log off. If you came in late and I was not taking attendance when you came into the room, then I'm going to have to check your name off. I will stick around for questions. First, let me get the individual. There's, I think, 2 individuals that might have come in late. If you could indicate who that is so I can make sure I wrote you down. Let me make sure I have McDaniel. I got you now, McDaniel. Joshan, I have you. Anybody else think they came in late? Let me see. Cooper, I got you. Jalen. Anybody else? Let's see. Olivia. Let me make sure I have Olivia. Got you, Olivia. Rollins. Got you. Antonio. Anybody else? All right. Morales. Vanessa, were you here Tuesday? You know why? Because it's on my sheet, I have Fuentes Morales. I do have you down for Tuesday, Vanessa, and I did mark you down just now as well. Thank you. Okay, anybody have questions? Olivia, I think so. Yeah, I have you, Olivia. All right, have a good weekend, guys. I will see you on Tuesday. Let me see. Jamaria, am I pronouncing your name right? Jamaria, I do have you, and I did mark you down on my roster as in attendance today. Okay, have a good weekend, everyone. Email me if you have questions, or I will see you guys on Tuesday. Thank you, everyone. Laura, do you have a question? This weekend, I will send an email reminder because I should have said that. This weekend, the introduction quiz and introduction discussion are due by tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. So it's just that quiz on the syllabus and then a brief introduction in the discussion room. Okay? All right. Thank you, Laura. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.